Emotional intelligence is knowing when to engage, when to walk away, and when silence is the loudest response. Good morning and welcome to Ways Breakfast, and we're thrilled to start the day with you, our valued viewers. On this vibrant, youthful platform, we tackle the conversations that matter most and concerns the very important demography of the society, the youth. So get your seatbelt ready for an awesome ride with me as your anchor for today. My name is Oluchi Omenka, and yet again, I've been joined by the talented, using that word again, God's Beauty Israel. Good morning.
Good morning, Oluchi. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's a very cold morning, but I mean, it is what it is. It's a cold morning in that sense. I don't mean atmospherically, right? It was more of an internal thing, but I'm so happy to be here. So what's up? What's popping?
Nothing is popping.
Really?
We're just here.
With all the things you have been saying behind the scene, you've been speaking to yourself, rehearsing stuff. It's almost like you have a lot.
I've been singing and worshiping God. That's what I've been doing.
That's also what's popping now. You are in the worship mode and the worship season. Well, today is the birthday celebration of a great icon and an inspiration to many. Would love to wish Mr. Adeyinka Adebayo a happy 55th birthday from the Ways Breakfast team. Welcome to your best year yet, sir, and thank you for shining as that beacon of light, and we hope you keep being an inspiration to many generations, even yet unborn.
Yeah, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you, sir. We see your good work and we say well done.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so we'll take this short break, and we want to see the significant event that shaped our world. We titled this segment Today in History. We'll be highlighting two fascinating milestones, which will be displayed shortly. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and thank you for sticking with us. I'd love to hear your insights and perspective on the historical milestone and also on our hot topic for today. Remember, you are the main ingredient in this conversation. We always love to hear your thoughts. Our phone lines are open. Please reach us on 07025007749 or 07014242420. And if you're yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel, we would not get tired of telling you to head on to Official Upgrade TV, click the subscribe button, like and share the link, tune into channel 145 on your Go TV, and always be part of what is happening right here. Now let's take a look at what's making headlines today. We'll be scanning the pages of the top newspaper. We have The Guardian, we have The Punch, and of course the International Guardian. All right, let's fly to the international space.
All right, straight into the international space, The Guardian newspaper. Top left, which is the entertainment section, we have red carpet ready. Top right, we have wonderful and dreadful to witness. That's from Lee Bowery, Tay Molden. Then headline, we have PM, that's Prime Minister, court oversees aid to increase defense budget in fight for peace. Bottom left, which is the BBC News report, says BBC, we fell short over Westwood misconduct. Bottom right, peer linked to apparent cash for Access Adventure. So the headline that I want to quickly touch on says PM, which is Prime Minister, cut overseas aid to increase defense budget in fight for peace. So in a nutshell, what this place is saying is the United Kingdom, that's the UK, is choosing guns over aid, and people are debating whether that's a right move or not. So let me just, give us a bit of detail. And it says the UK Prime Minister, Starmer, has decided to increase the country's defense budget by cutting funds that were meant for overseas aid. Right? This means that money that would have been used to support foreign countries in areas like health, healthcare, food aid, and disaster relief will now be redirected to military spending. This is a big deal because it shows a shift in priorities. Instead of focusing on international humanitarian support, the UK is choosing the strengthening its military. Now, the government argues that this is necessary for fighting for peace in Europe, likely in response to the rising global security threats. This decision is highly controversial. While some support the idea of boosting national security, many argue that cutting foreign aid could, hurt developing countries like the likes of, the Ukraine. We have damaged the UK's global reputation, and it can be, it's also politically motivated. So let me quickly touch on this, right? First off, it's a good thing that a prime minister sees that, the military needs to be worked on, they needs to be strengthened, and it feels like one of the things they're lacking is probably finances. And that's why I feel like, okay, you know what, apart from like the budgets that is always drawn for the military recruitment and all of that, let's add extra. And they feel like the only way they can get extra money to add into the budget that is already created out for the military is by removing certain amounts that is already allocated to, the humanitarian support. That's, they help, just like the United States that assist the Ukraine. The UK also have countries that they help with healthcare, they help with a lot of things. So they feel like it's time for them to remove certain amounts of money that's already allocated for that into putting it into the military, whatever. So why, like I said, it is one thing to say that if a prime minister sees that it is important for, the country to be strengthened military-wise now, which is a good thing. But again, there's also a problem because those countries that you're already helping, what happens to them? They are standing where they are standing because of the support system that you're already giving to them. So now that you're trying to withdraw, what happens to them? I feel like it's a very dicey situation. And why some people are also saying that, is it that the UK people want to start acting like the United States? I mean, we talked about it yesterday when Trump is saying that the only way we can help the Ukraine government with the aid that we give them, that security aid, is only if they give us their minerals, right? And although here there's no trade by barter, there's not they are not saying that, if you want us to keep supporting you and you have to give us something in return. They are just saying that our military system right now needs the money more than the humanitarian that's helping people, that's helping the countries. What do you think about the story? Like I said, it's very dicey. For those in the UK will be, of course, happy that, their prime minister is taking, everything, they're doing everything possible to ensure that there's no threat of any kind. And given that, the Ukraine and Russia still have their war going, so that is also that's already a global threat to them, and that's why they're making sure that the military system for them is well equipped and all of that. Imagine something like that has been done in this country. Let me not talk about Nigeria, but what do you think about the story?
The story is really not so clear to me per se, but I'm just going to patch on the whole strengthening the military system and security generally. And sometimes when it comes to certain sectors in this country or any country, right, there are certain systems that I feel like it's okay to go over and beyond to want to have that sector working the way it ought to. Sometimes it might look like a strain on other sectors.
That's what it's looking like.
Yes, but if you look at the bigger picture of it, the security we're talking of here
is
is
more important than having to help those countries that are in need. You see, it's very dicey.
It's dicey, but when it comes to dicey things, I like to look at the bigger picture of it. It will be dicey now because you're looking at the immediate consequence of it. But if you look at it in the long run, you eventually find that you are tilting towards strengthening the military. Let's move to the Nigerian space. We have the Punch and the Guardian. I'll start with the Punch. The major headline reads, "Why INEC vote count can't be accurate," says Jonathan. Ex-president decries ghost voters. Regional influences seeks electoral reforms. Above that, we see Nigeria's World Bank debt may hit $9.2 billion as federal government eyes 6 loans. South-South governors move against Wike's camp over PDP Congress crisis. Afenifere backs Kalu, says declaring Abiola president long overdue. Tax reforms, Senate plans review as customs and ASU fault provision. And below that, we see Obasa awaiting ruling before returning to assembly, says lawyer. Senate backs Akpabio as Natasha files a 100.3 billion naira defamation suit. And the last story says APC dismisses anti-Ganduje plot as El Rufai absent from NEC meeting. And you already said ooh to that story because
honestly,
that's
I didn't
how
see that coming.
when I read it as well. Said the Senate on Tuesday threw its weight behind the Senate President Godswill Akpabio as the senator representing Kogi Central Senatorial District, Mrs. Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, filed a 100.3 billion defamation lawsuit against Akpabio. Now, this suit was a fallout of the clash over the weekend, over the relocation of her seat. But in an interview, the Senate spokesman, Senator Adaromodu, said Natasha would end up nowhere because the parliament enjoys absolute privilege. He says we're not aware of any suit for now, but let me state here that the parliament enjoys absolute privilege in the conduct of its affairs, and what it does in proper legislative setting is not actionable. So this is a sad one, and honestly, I would like to say I feel for Natasha at this point because I really do feel for her. It's almost looking like who is going to win this case? Are we going to see parliamentary privilege prevail over defamation? Over the weekend, or I mean from last week, we saw the banter between Akpabio, the Senate president, and Natasha over the relocation of seats. And now there's this contention that was it really a power play or a gender bias? Firstly, the reason why the defamation thing can really work is if there is actually proof that it was towards her character or towards her person and not like an administrative duty that was carried out. Do you understand? Almost like the reason why this whatever lawsuits can play out and be functional and can even, go far is if it can be proven that whatever Akpabio did was not a personal thing in that sense. Do you understand? Because if it was supposed to be like an administrative thing, administrative check and balance that, okay, normal, even if it was a male, it's not like a female thing now, we would have still done this relocation. So if that can be proven that that was the reason why her seat was relocated or it was meant to be relocated, then probably, do you get it? But if it's a personal thing, that's when the defamation thing can work. That's why he's saying that the Senate are backing Akpabio in this sense because there's parliamentary privilege. And that's why I said I'm really not.
Dicey one.
It's more than a dicey one. It's more than a dicey one, and I really feel for Natasha at this point because a lot of things are buried under it's administrative laws, it's administrative. That's how it's carried out, and all of that. It's so sad, but that's what it is. I'm wondering what the likely outcome would be. But
I mean, that's why we have to anticipate.
You can anticipate and also predict. These things are it's very quick to predict something like this. If you have the Senate, at least a majority of them backing Akpabio, saying that this is how parliamentary privilege works. What are you anticipating? It's almost like the case has already been sorted. I don't know how far
if she's also able to
lawsuits can go.
If she's also able to state it, because it's one thing to say you are defamed. I think that there are like 2-3 things that that have to show for that. Okay, truly, this person is defamed. You also have to prove that whatever that must have been said, somehow was detrimental to you.
So there's this claim that Akpabio was just trying to maintain administrative order.
No, I get it. I get it.
Towards her at all. So how do you want to defend that?
Again, I'm very sure she would have something up her sleeves for her to be going for a suit like that.
I think it would have been easier if she had more people on her side in that Senate itself. But it seems like there are more people that are tilting towards. That's what I think.
It's one thing to have people. It's another thing to be able to prove it. Like you're not also getting my point. You have to prove that whatever that must have been said, whether it was administrative, exactly, and it was detrimental to you, whether your health, anything. If you can prove all of these things, tell me why you won't win the case. It's courts now. Come on. Okay. Evidence is what works.
Evidence is what works.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
You say that with your full chest.
Evidence
is what works.
Evidence is what works.
Let's move from that to the Guardian newspaper. Again here, Jonathan Jega carpet politicians, judiciary, INEC over flawed elections. Natasha, the story repeats itself. Sues Akpabio aid 100.3 billion naira
that money is plenty.
a lot of money.
Can they come and sit down? Let us do ADR.
For alleged defamation as Senate considers punishment. APC begins 2027 groundwork as Tinubu governors, party leaders meet on internal crisis. IBB revelation. Igbo group demands 100 trillion naira compensation for Ndigbo. Non-oil sector pushes GDP up by 3.84% in Q4. Belgium fears losing 40% petrol export to Nigeria as Tinubu woos investors. Court remands Lagos Assembly workers for alleged assault on DSS officers. And above that, we see EFCC arraign 16 Chinese for alleged cyber terrorism internet fraud in Lagos. The last story here says Tinubu okays 1 trillion naira financing for states to strengthen PHC. The Guardian has some interesting stories, but maybe because of what we discussed yesterday, the whole cyber crime and all, is saying here that EFCC has arraigned 16 Chinese, which is surprising. It's not Nigeria now in the Nigerians now in the question. It is Chinese people who have found an abode to be able to commit their crime for alleged cyber terrorism, internet fraud in Lagos. And some other stories here. I've been seeing a lot of bills and bills. The Punch, there was one particular story I skipped. Right. Maybe it will add up later during the week. Our debts, what's it called? Debt. What's that? I've forgotten the word now. But our debt keeps increasing and increasing. Saying here that Nigeria is going to hit $9.2 billion.
What are we using the money to do?
Now, federal government is still eyeing and seeking 6 more loans. So it keeps piling up. It keeps piling up, and it looks like there's no way forward. But
I've said it before that very, very soon, very, very soon, we'll wake up one morning and we're opening the door and somebody is saying, hey, you, go like this. Yes. Honestly, because that's what I'm looking like.
I'm just going to look for a cave.
How are we going to pay for those things?
And it's
the same persons that's coming out to say we need more states in this country. Yeah, we are not serious, honestly. We are not.
Okay, God's beauty said that.
It's true, we are not.
We are not serious. Okay, we're talking about a very interesting topic today. Quite a saddening one, but it's something that we're seeing very rampant in our society. You know that if it concerns young people, if it concerns, the young demography, we're going to be talking about it. We're talking about surviving social media, online abuse, mental strain, and Toxicity in Nigeria, X formerly known as Twitter. I want to uncover this today, and I'll be doing it with God's beauty. Of course, I want to do it with you as well. So please be part of our conversation. Drop your comments, call us, and we'll be more than glad to have you join us. Let's take this short break, and we'll return with our hot topic shortly. Welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us. We're discussing today on the table surviving social media, online abuse, mental strain, and toxicity in Nigeria. Now, social media has become an integral part of the Nigerian life, shaping narratives, driving activism, and providing a space for engagement. However, in recent years, platforms like X, formerly called Twitter, have transformed into toxic battlegrounds where online abuse, cyberbullying, and cancel culture thrive. A 2024 report by Gatesfield, supported by Luminate, found that 58% of Nigerian women and young adults aged 25 to 34 have experienced online harassment, with X identified as the most harmful platform. Public figures like Adebola Daniel, son of former Ogun State governor, recently deactivated his account due to overwhelming cyberbullying. Similarly, actress Tonto Dike, singer Thames, and comedian Mr. Macaroni have all voiced concerns about the emotional toll of relentless online attacks. Now, while some argue that social media criticism is necessary for accountability, others say it has become a destructive force, leading to anxiety, depression, and even career sabotage. The big question is, are we building conversations or tearing people down? As we dissect this issue, we must ask, is there a way to balance free speech with mental well-being in Nigeria's social media space? And I'll be joined, as usual, I mean, you're becoming my most present anchor with God's Beauty Angel to discuss this. First of all, you have an X account.
Do I? Yes, I do.
How active are you on that
this
space?
year?
This year?
Yes.
Yeah, you don't know what God has done for you.
It's for those that decide that they want to be probably dragged or whatever. But again, it's when you're also able to create or have, like, you've grown thick skin for certain kind of things. I think that's when you should be on X. Yes.
All right, now we're talking about X, and we're talking cyberbullying, mental strain, how there's been career sabotage for some. So how did Twitter... Funny how I still don't know how to call it X. I'm always still saying Twitter. But we'll get used to it. So how did X evolve into Nigeria's most toxic social media space? And this is not based on sentiment. It's based on research. Study. The numbers are saying this is one of the most toxic social media space to be in. How did it even happen? What are the factors that fuel this trend?
I think the most important would be the fact that there's no regulation when it comes to X, and that's the honest fact. There are some things that you can put on all social media platforms that will be flagged. But you see X, nothing that you cannot put on X, and it just doesn't get flagged. Do you understand?
True.
That's one. The kind of people that are also there matters. I mean, we'll be having a conversation about this guy, Kanye, the kind of things that he put out there. I mean, and there are so many other persons like him that has a very funny, way of approaching things. That's another part. If there's no regulation somewhere, I mean, it's just like where in law that they say there's no law, there's no crime. Do you understand? So that's how it is on X. Where there's no law, there's no crime. There's nothing regulating anything. And again, the fact that we already have personal issues in Nigeria, issues like tribalism, issues like religion. I mean, in a space where there's no regulation, of course, there's now open banter for anybody to say whatever. And I think also the mindset of having to trend and also being more savage. Who is more savage? I think that is what is always done on X. Yes, that's why one person is putting one and that person is firing back. I remember there was a time, I can't remember who exactly, it was Kate Henshaw that posted a picture of her on X. And somebody this picture did not concern you. It not concern you in any way, any form, nothing. Do you understand? And you see the picture and you felt like it was important to talk about it. That's my problem. Why do you feel like it was important? Now, this person went on to say, oh, this picture is great. You like, I mean, what she put on, but it doesn't really suit her like that. What kind of compliment is that? Do you understand? So I feel like all of these things that made mention of is why, I mean, that's one of the reasons why, X is what it is today. The fact that there's no regulation, we have personal issues, and because of those, we have a space like X, everybody feels it is important to come there and talk about it. I remember there's a way people describe X. X is like a community. Sure, it is a community of people that are not normal.
Hey.
Then there's not streets, like you have streets demarcation, this lane. So we have religion lane, we have tribalism lane, exactly, and so many more like
carefully.
that. You must tread carefully.
If
you're passing, so you don't be kidnapped. That's how X is, honestly.
Funny how I'm talking about this topic not from, just to be very sincere, I really do not, I hear stories, I read about it, I mean, when, I think I was living with one of my aunts one time, and she used to be very big fan of Twitter. In fact, her business was very loud on Twitter. That's where she got more customers.
Oh, wow.
And like you mentioned, I just installed the app, and I think I put 1 or 2 posts there. They even get engagement like that. So I just left the whole Twitter space because it's not something I really fancy. And maybe because I've not used it as often as I should, I feel like it's complicated to navigate in my own, I don't know, maybe it's not so friendly for me. This is not to like backlash anything, it's just our own personal opinion on the app. So, you know, like, you've mentioned a lot of things which are so accurate, things that I would have mentioned as well. One of the things that have fueled this trend of people thinking that X is that platform to show that I have power to speak about an issue is that sometimes there's anonymity, right? Yeah. Where you really can't point to who has said something, right? If you check out some of the people that, even though some are bold enough to put out their names and to let you know that I am the savage lord that is after you, there are still some, right, that they bask in that anonymity, but are still very, I mean, vile in their speech and vile in their comments to things that absolutely has nothing to do with them. You know, the X platform is such that, in fact, social media generally is such that it has given a lot of power to people who naturally won't be able to speak about a topic or even face you in a physical conversation. Honestly speaking. There's so much power that you have behind your screen to think that you can speak to somebody. Some of these people, if you meet them physically, they literally have nothing to say, nothing to even offer to you. Good. And then there's the whole clout chasing. There's this excessiveness to want to trend, and I think that it is a warped loophole. It's really, really terrible to just want to trend by all costs. I watched a video by Olushola, Consult Olushola. He's a very, very intelligent person that I follow on Instagram, and he was saying something that if I want to trend, it's very simple. All I need to do is speak on something controversial. All I need to do is just to pick on someone, to just pinch people in ways that are sensitive that I know will get them to backlash me, be agitated, and everything scatters. He now says, but not every trend is really trend. So one of the things I've also felt or instigated even beyond normal, you know, this mental strain and abuse on the X app is this clout chasing. You just, if you check now, some people, they don't have a lot of followers, they don't have a lot of likes, but where they can get their likes and their following is on the comments.
I'm not going to lie, on Instagram,
on Instagram, right?
I literally had over 300 comments for a particular likes for a particular comment.
Great.
Yes.
So now, when some people go to certain pages, they know that, oh, maybe I couldn't have been the one to put this beautiful content that is making people like this person's page. I want to get the same level of attention. How I can get that same level of attention is by my comments, by how direct it is, by how controversial it is, by how rubbish it is, basically. Honestly, because it's rubbish, it's big time rubbish. So that's where people want to, that's how they want to get their trend from. And I'm like, cloud chasing, it won't get you far. It can get you some level of fame and all, but how long can it be sustained? Exactly. We've seen some people, I don't want to mention name, but we've seen some people that will I use the word trended on social media for different things that they said boldly. To them, they were being assertive. To them, it's just social media, and I can say what I want to say. Exactly, being real, my truth, and get away with it. We saw them trend, but if you check now, they are very irrelevant. I really want to call 2 people's names, but because now I'll tell you behind the scenes. I'll tell you, one was very prevalent on TikTok. The other one featured in a podcast in that sense, and she said a lot of things. I mean, everybody's following, but what are they really doing that is significant and relevant for them to even stand the test of time? Because I think some people are really short-sighted. If you want to use social media as a space to expand, to be relevant in whatever career you're doing, think long-term. It's not just what I'll do now and get 1 million views and 20,000 comments. After that, what's going to happen next? So a lot of things happen. And then there's also political manipulation. We cannot throw away the fact that the big dogs know what's happening in that space. They would, because to protect their image and certain things, they will not come out to clearly identify as I'm the one putting out this comment. So a lot of political propaganda happens behind the scene, and we see you see them instigating people against themselves. So all these factors are the reasons why it seems as though the X platform is one of the most toxic social media space. Let me read another comment I found from Mr. Olushola. I told you he's somebody I follow a lot. So he said this thing yesterday, and it was so direct, but really true. Okay, I've seen it. He said, hard take. But if you spend the most of your time on Twitter, you might need to get your heart checked every now and then. Chances are that negativity will have crept in. I can't explain, but if you know, you know. And I 100% agree with this. Now, let's talk about the online abuse that happened. We've seen psychological effect of online abuse. There are certain Nigerians that have deactivated their accounts a number of times. There are certain celebrities that will tell you, I am not on this platform, because they know what they've done to them, right? Actually, influencers and what have you. So what are the psychological effects of online abuse? I want people to know how much of a consequence can happen when they decide to tread certain paths. Psychological abuse is becoming a major thing. We saw the background, the info, the statistics, and the numbers. It's becoming a major thing. So what are the psychological effects of online abuse on Nigerians?
I would start from, you know, I mean, you made mention of the influencers, the actors. I mean, I remember last year when Tony Abraham she was dragged, she was flinged, she was everywhere, you know, and all thanks to X. Those people just never rest. You know, when they say be relentless and work hard, that's how those people act. And it's not even like it's for the right purpose, right? So honestly speaking, one of the things is the fact that at the end of the day, most of those people have worked so hard to put their career, you know, where it is. But because of the whole dragging, the whole talking and all, you see now that, there's also cancel culture, right? Yeah, there's also cancel culture. Once somebody, you know, does something or says something that is probably very wrong to certain person, there's just that stigma, you know, that stigma that lives on that person, that they live on that person. So one of the problems or one of the psychological effects is the fact that most of these persons, their career goes down the drain. And as a result of that, they fall under, you know, depression, anxiety. There's also the fact that, new persons like me now will look at the space and say, oh, well, because of all the things that are there, I should probably be where I am. Because I remember there was a time where, shall I give an example where, this was the first time she's coming on X and she posted a picture. And somebody said, so with all these things in your bio. I think I remember. Just imagine. With that statement alone.
And then there's this rave of be consistent. Always post. Show market shamelessly. Let people know what you're doing. With this same shameless marketing, you carry yourself and go to X and they will shamelessly talk about you.
So there's also that trust issues that, you know, like I said, once you imagine that story that Shola told us, it just made sense that whoever that have not grown a tough skin or a thick skin, stay where you are. Stay with the other apps that are a bit calm. Like Instagram now, even though it has its own issues, but I think also because of the regulation, certain things cannot fly. Certain things that you say will not even go. They will just show their hidden comments or something. Yes, exactly. Comment. So because they know that this thing is something that, that will not probably be okay for other people to see. So you see, there's a bit of regulation. But on that X, I feel like the first problem is the fact that there's no regulation. So anything can just go. Anything can fly. You know, but once we start having that, there are certain things that once you say probably a word that is not supposed to be, you know, allowed, they will probably just take that out. Like on X now, if you see most of the bloggers, even when they post certain things, then they don't show it out. You see that they will either blur it. Like if you follow Insta blog, for example, you will see that there are some videos it doesn't show. It should tell you that you should go to his bio to get like the Telegram link so that you can watch the videos. Yeah, because those videos are not allowed to on Instagram. But check X.
It's flying.
You don't go safe. You don't go. So I feel like regulations, once there's regulation, it's just help a lot.
But you've been mentioning some things about growing a thick skin, tough skin. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, we can grow tough skin, but how tough can my skin get? I think that it will get to a point where the skin has reached its elasticity. It can't take anymore. So even though we try to build, you know, one thing I tell people that in anything that you do in this world, ensure that you do not take down a man's esteem. because you do not know how much they've tried to build it. Now, a man can appear or seem to you as very confident.
Yeah.
He has things figured out. I mean, nothing you say per se can actually affect me.
Yeah,
but you really do not know the work that has been put in place to get that esteem to that point. So even if they appear to look confident with you, if there's anything you should do, I mean, that's where empathy comes in. I'm a strong, empathetic person, and I always like to consider people before anything's been done. People's esteem should be protected because some people go through a lot to build them. There are people still dealing with childhood trauma. There are people still dealing with their inadequacies, their weaknesses, questioning their worth. Anybody can come on social media and act like, oh, things are all goody-goody. But you know, if you check and go through, check the background of things, you know that some people are just putting up a front. So in anything that we do, we should ensure that I am not contributing to a man's esteem being brought down. If I should even contribute, it should help it get better. And that's why in communication, I'm deviating now, but even in communication between couples, between parents and their child, friends, whatever you do should not in any way instigate someone's esteem being brought down. People fear feedback and criticism a lot these days. Why? Because sometimes it gets their esteem down.
Because the criticism is not always constructive. That's the problem. Somebody is just like, I mean, when you come to X now, somebody will say, oh, I'm saying my truth. You're actually just bullying this person instead of you to just be, you know, do the criticism.
Who told you that we want to hear your truth?
That's the thing.
Some people feel like their opinions are
it matters. That's the problem.
It does. We don't care, really. Your opinion is not moving or changing anything.
Honestly.
Some will say my truth, and it's almost like what I'm saying is what the world needs to hear.
Yeah, exactly.
The world doesn't care about what you have to say. Honestly, but they care about what we have to say. What are you saying? We'll take this short break, and we still want to open up this conversation. If you have personal stories of being a victim of bully, please let us know. Let us empathize with you and see the way forward. We'll take this short break, and we'll be back shortly.
There's a desperation for wealth because corrupt money flaunts wealth. We're still a very fetish nation. We're still a very ritualistic nation. We're still a very suspicious nation. Are we ready as a people? A lot of Nigerians are not quite ready. Yeah, the average Ghanaian, and I'm not ashamed to say so, is slightly more educated and more exposed than the average Nigerian. That's the truth. Another crop of Nigerians that are very, very influential. They're not many, but they're very influential. Their voices are loud, and most of them have benefited from the system. Japa thing is not so bad after all, because I'm hoping that they won't japa so badly that they cut off the ties, you know, and things like Dirty December brings them back. The first thing I'll do as leader of Nigeria is ban importation of food. Nigeria was designed to fail. It wasn't designed to succeed. Nigeria was designed to feed.
All right, welcome back. Very amazing trailer video that we just showed you. So please get ready to watch the exclusive tonight. Okay, back to our own conversation because we're really taken aback with that promo video and the things that was being mentioned. So powerful, Nigeria. All right, back to our social...
sarcastic laugh for me.
Back to our social media stuff. We've been talking about X and how toxic the space is. We're focusing on X today because we have seen numbers that have shown over time that X is one of the most, in fact, the most popular platform that encourages cyberbullying and many of it. But it seems as though we are always focusing on the celebrities, the influencers, the big dogs, the ones that have a career that can be sabotaged. But then there's the regular user, there's the student who is also on X platform. I want us to also open up certain, you know, certain ways that it also affects the regular Nigerian beyond celebrities. Because if we always concentrate on celebrities, it's almost like we also have a life. We also go through this backlash. We hear this thing happen regularly. So how do you think it affects you? And I want you to concentrate on students or people who have even just 9-to-5 workers. How do you think some of the things that happen affect their own personal life?
Of course it does, because, I mean, nobody is above depression and a whole lot of that. Shola in question that we're making mention, she's like the normal, I mean, she's one of us, do you understand? So imagine somebody like that has no, I mean, she's not a celebrity yet. Nobody, I mean, not many persons know her like, you know, the big persons or the big dogs that you made mention of. So tell me why this person just by herself posted a picture and you are complaining that her leg is not straight. I mean, it's also a reflection that we personally have issues. And that's why, when you're making mention of growing thick skin, I've come to that acceptance, or I don't know, there's just this peace of mind that I have when with the belief system that a lot of people say things because of that, I mean, because that's what they are dealing. Yes, that's what they are dealing with. So if you come, I mean, there's something that literally happened last week, right, where somebody was, I mean, going everywhere, and at the end of the day, I just looked at it that it has to be that you have some personal issues that you're yet to deal with, because that's the only reason why you were shouted. Do you understand? So same goes to, you know, social media. When you see certain persons, like I said, this baby's on her own. She did not tag you. You were not tagged. The picture did not concern you. It not family you. Nothing. Tell me why you are disturbed about the fact that her leg is not straight in accordance to her bio. Make it make sense to me. Exactly. So it just shows that you have personal issues that you need to deal with. And I'm fine with it. So regardless or no matter what anybody says, baby, if in my head it does not make any sense, it does not make any sense. Simple. So there are lots of people that, I mean, when you're not able to grow this kind of skin that, understands, I'm actually flowing with, you will not have issues with depression. You start having, you know, doubt issues. Oh, this person said my leg is not straight. Is it true? And that's why you now start thinking of cosmetic surgery. Exactly.
Wow.
That's what, yeah, it takes us there too. It takes us there too.
You
because
will soon be dragged by beauty.
I can't wait, you guys.
They will still drag you like Jen.
But honestly speaking, that's where, you know, it continues from there and there. When you now hear people say that, I mean, this guy, what's his name, that we kept talking, that did the rhinoplasty.
Zikalazoma.
Zikalazoma.
The name is very hard to pronounce. What's it?
Zikaloma, exactly.
Apologies.
But back on it,
I know
right?
him as Aloma. That's just
Okay,
very
rest.
simple. Aloma.
Don't
Very
hear.
amazing individual.
Not be smart enough. That's amazing. Sorry, the things you're saying is making me...
I make God's beauty laugh a lot.
Okay. But back on it, right? If you listen to I think the interview he had with B, you hear him when he said that, oh, the reason why he did this is because God already knows that he's going to do it, and that's why God gave him money, blah blah blah. But I'm not trying to shade him or anything. But I feel like that's some of the excuses you hear. When they are probably bashed and insulted you that your nose is too big and your head is too big and this and that, at the end of the day, you say, God knows, say I go, of course, I go do him. That's why he gives me the money. Do you understand? So I feel like that's some of the...
Let me ask you, are you not saying that social media drags actually reflect deeper social frustration for people?
Yes, now. Yes. I mean, to some extent, it does. Okay, this is the platform where we talk about tribalism. This is the platform where we talk about religion. If everybody is okay, I don't have an issue with a Muslim person. Tell me why if something is said, I would be angry, I would be agitated, I would want to speak up. Do you understand what I'm saying? That platform is supposed to be used for the good things that it can give us.
Power
exactly.
We saw how NSARS was propagated on X platform, and it got a lot of international bodies, in fact, to be concerned. So it seems like even people in politics or people in governance, there's a way they can want to I don't want to use the word hold themselves, but, you know, want to do things properly because there's a platform that can easily hold them accountable.
Let me give this example. I think it was last year, speaking on the Senate president, right, where there was something done to Natasha and the only thing Gist Lover did was to bring out certain evidence against him. I don't know, we don't know if it's true or not, so I'm not going to say that. Yeah. But there are certain things about the fact that he's following certain women.
You meant
and at the end of the day,
is it Nancy
yeah, the likes of Nancy Sime, there's so many persons that was mentioned. Even I think Iniedo was part of the list, right? So at the end of the day, we actually saw that he apologized with style. But did the apology came? Yes. Was he held accountable? Yes. So you say that the platform can actually be used for the good, right? But because we also have personal issues, like I said, we have personal issues in Nigeria. We have the real religion thing, the whole political thing. You hear somebody from APC say, if you're not part of our party, there's something wrong with your head. Do you understand? You should be fine with it. Exactly. We need to get to that point where whatever anybody's opinion or whatever anybody's decision is to a certain thing, you should be fine with it. Especially when it's not going to affect you in any way. If her leg is like that, what's in be your business? Why do you think it was important to talk about it? If a particular person...
The person is frustrated.
Maybe
the person went to the market or the supermarket and saw the price tag on everything. Like, everything is so expensive in this country. I'm so tired of this Nigeria. And then you pick up your phone and an innocent, God's greeting, not me, was just trying to be all social media like. And then you're like, why is she so happy? This your leg is like this. So it shows that
we have personal issues and we have not taken care of it.
That's so
it's
true.
Simple.
There's this frustration. And that's why topics like this takes us to the root of many things that are happening. Yesterday, I also mentioned that we can easily blame poverty and other things as the causes for cybercrime, Yahoo. But if we look at it wholesomely, it's also there's also a broken system in the society that makes people really go to this thing. So this is not to now be on the side of these toxic people or people who are always looking for words to say. It just shows that there's a deeper societal frustration that everybody feels. But the worst thing is how you now handle your frustration, which is so wrong, because if there's already a wrong that has been caused by the society you're living in, sadly, we cannot deny the fact that a lot of things are happening that can frustrate you. Just, commuting from one place to the other can get you already cranky. But it's not now fair to pour that aggression or to point on innocent people online. And that leads me to this thing. So there's now a circle. Firstly, there's a silent competition for who is most savage, right? I think there was even somebody that was highlighted as one of the most savage person on X. I think I'm not going to mention the name, but it was almost like if you see the person's comment,
you will know.
Like when people try to savage that person and he replies back, it's almost like, are you really trying me? I would waste your career in that sense.
Oh, wow.
Do you get it? So it gives that vibe of, they don't used to try me on this apple. Okay, I don't
there are so many persons now. We have Frank Edoho. There's this guy, Riga. Daniel Riga, yes.
Okay, I think there's Reno or Mokri too.
There's Reno too. There's Danny. There are many of them.
There are certain people that are very witty. So even if you come at them with certain backlash, you will regret having to have done that because they have a way to come back at you.
No.
I have friends like that generally. It will look like I'm teasing you and I'm like, oh yes, I've gotten him. But when they come back, you'll be like, why did I start this conversation in the first place?
Exactly.
So it's almost like there's a competition. The fact that I even came at you, first of all, is already wrong. But the fact that you also come back at me shows that there is a circle that needs to be addressed. So there's a competition of who is more savage, of who has the most comeback, right? Of who will have a more
constructive insult.
Constructive insult. How did insult become more an intelligent thing to look out for? I know that there's some people that should be put in their place and you need to give them certain response to make them think about their lives. I agree with that because some people need to be shot in a very harsh way. But if we keep doing that, we're going to keep creating a cycle of abuse. So that, in fact, even those that have been abused will eventually now become the abuser as well. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So what do you think about that?
I mean, honestly speaking, for those that know, silence has always been my escape route.
Silence, no, they work like that now. Are you sure silence will still be that your greatest tool? Funny how the introduction I made earlier had to focus on how silence is one of the greatest response, the loudest response.
And I actually agree with that because it helps a lot, right? I mean, I know of somebody that will say, don't respond or something, react. I can't really figure out which one is supposed to. But I know for sure
I think it's don't react, respond.
Don't react, respond. So it is important that for anybody that is coming with madness, there's no peace. There's no peace like knowing that this person has an issue.
This person didn't get to you.
And don't let it disturb you. This person has a personal issue, and I cannot allow your problem disturb me. I feel like once you are able to understand that, it helps you just move on. It helps you not really talk about a lot of things. I also feel like maturity too, because there are some people, I remember having a conversation, I can't remember when, but I remember having a conversation with certain persons, and I said that, you see, people that are matured, they are not plenty. I'm so sorry,
Please
guys.
hope I'm in that number. Because
they are not plenty.
how many
Do you
are they? They're only two.
See, maturity has different definition. Do you understand? So my own definition of maturity is quite different. I'm not ready to explain that to you.
Please.
It's not Oxford Dictionary,
Okay.
but back on it. But back on it, right? So once I know that if I explain this thing to this person will not get it, and you probably see it as an insult. You just keep quiet. Moreover, they say silence is the best answer for a what?
For a fool.
Don't take that out.
But they used to say a fool like you.
No, I feel like the person. Where did they read this girl from?
You don't know where I grew up. There are certain comebacks that we have. So if you want to say silence is the best answer for the fool, they say like you, that you are the one who is the fool. So you now regret having to have said that in the beginning. So yes, you've mentioned quite a number of things, and I will not agree with that. But then, do you think there's a difference between criticism and bullying?
Of course, now. Of course.
What is that difference? So, because if we say that we're not going to comment on certain things, there are influencers or celebrities in that sense that put in false things or put in some controversial things in that sense. And it seems as though this should not just slide. We should actually comment on it. But commenting on it can now look like you're trying to bully them into something else based on what they just freely expressed. So now, let's now separate that thin line. There's criticism. There's actually putting people accountable to what they're doing, and then there's bullying in that sense. So what makes the difference?
Now, let me give you this perfect example. Just yesterday on Instagram, now a certain influencer, I really don't even know her, to be honest, but it was what she posted that, in my head, I'm like, okay, what's going on here, right? Now, this is what's in a nutshell, because it's a story about her, how she met her husband and all of that. And in a nutshell, she was like, oh, when she wanted to get married, she has the man is fine, all of these things, and she got married to this guy without checking the financial status of this guy, right? Now, when they are married and all, she noticed that she had more money because she had a car, she has a good paying job and all of that. She noticed that the guy in question didn't have anything, so it was more like she was the breadwinner of the house. No, Cherigodo, she was the breadwinner of the house, right? Now, when she said this story, I'm like, okay, what's going on? What are you trying to tell us? Then, towards the end of the story, where she's not saying that, oh, she was speaking to God, and there was even a time where she was so angry, they had a conflict at the house, and she remember telling him that, is this the marriage you promised me, right? What kind of marriage is this one that I'm the one, shouldering all the financial issues and all of that? And she, at the same time, she regretted because according to her, God told her not to make mention of things like that to him, right? Now, at the end of the day, she now made mention of the fact that, oh, with God, there was a time where she was also asking God if this is really her husband, right? Then God told her that it's your husband, stay with him and all. But at the end of the day, Nollywood movie, the guy is making money now. I'm so sorry, guys. The guy is making money now. Wait. So the guy is making money now. He's doing everything. He's okay. He's the one taking care of it. Now, my problem is, in as much as I get the information you're trying to pass, because she was making mention of the fact that, oh, these women, they come out to say that, if this man don't have money, don't be with him and all of that. And this is why I said, see, in as much as I get the story, I hate when people make certain kind of narrative that doesn't make any sense to me. Because with this your story now, you're somehow telling somebody out there that if this guy is not financially stable, he cannot take care of himself, it's okay to do the relationship. That's what she's saying. Now, what I said is, in as much as I get the story, right, it is important that you pass the right information, which is the fact that you had a relationship with God. Now, because you have a relationship with God, things went smooth. Now, if you're giving this kind of story, if you're telling people this kind of story, it's important to note that fact so that people get it. It is important that as a lady, you have a proper relationship with God. But telling people that, oh, because, once a man is not doing well, you should foresee the future. Once a man is not able to take care of himself, you should do the relationship.
Okay, so what are you trying to say? Are you saying that it's okay to have criticized or given her a constructive feedback? That's the feedback I gave her. Yes, that's a constructive, criticism. I'm not bullying because I gave her. I would literally read it out to you if you want me to, but because of time. Now, there's a difference between what I have said and when I am bullying or when I'm insulting. Bullying is more like when you're insulting the person. So if she has said all of this and I say, let's say they mad, get sense like that. So this kind of information
try pass, give
Okay.
us. Do you understand? That's where bully comes in. But the fact that I had to tell her, like I said, in as much as I get the essence of this message, it's well past. But it is also important to note that when you are giving people this information, tell them about the God part. Do you understand? You don't just wake up one morning and tell people that, oh, as a girl, if you see a fine man, get married to him, whether it's financially stable or not. You tell her to, first of all, have a relationship with God first.
So
Simple.
that was your constructive
Yes.
feedback.
Yes.
So there's a difference between bullying and there's a difference between
It's
criticism.
a very simple
So I'll
one.
say criticism is giving constructive feedback,
Feedback,
just
yes.
like when you hold politicians accountable for their promises.
Yes.
And then bullying will have to do with
when
it's
you are
involved.
when you're just insulting the person, you're not passing any information, you're not passing an impact, nothing. That's what it is.
And you are sure that what you did was a constructive
Should
feedback.
I read it out for you?
We will talk about it after. Because I know I've been prophesying. You will soon be dragged and we'll be on this show with you. We have come to the end of today's conversation. Social media is a powerful tool, but its impact, positive or negative, depends on how we use it. Are we engaging in meaningful discourse, or are we simply part of a culture that thrives on outrage? And as we wrap up this discussion, one key takeaway is that while we can't control what happens on social media, we can control how we engage with it. So what's the way forward? That's the question I'll leave you to answer. Thank you for shedding light on this topic, and we hope to have you again, God's beauty, on this platform. Because I want to have a follow-up to that story you just mentioned. Thank you so much to our viewers for joining us. We'll catch you again tomorrow, same time, same station. Have a blessed day.
Hello, you. Yes, you. This is Usayome Sale from Ways Primetime. Now, we appreciate your continued support for watching our content, following us across all our social media. But we've noticed, for those of you watching us on YouTube, 88.5% of you who watch our content aren't subscribed to our channel. Why? Now, if you are enjoying our content, you enjoy our shows, and you want to stay updated on all things Ways, it's time to hit that subscribe button below. Now, subscribing isn't just for you. It's for the growth of our channel. It helps us get bigger and better. With your support, we can continue to bring even more intriguing and exciting content. How about you subscribing right now and being a part of our community?